the things that happened when I got here in New Mexico was I discovered the very wonderful, vibrant film community here and decided I wanted to be a part of it. So we started a small nonprofit called Healing Voices Personal Stories, and we began making stories of domestic violence survivors to serve as models for women that were still victims and wanted to find a safe way out. And I kept thinking, wow, there's some other things I really want to do that are really important to me. The arts are such a powerful way to heal. Is there a way to develop a project that could show this? Let me approach the shelter here and see if they might be interested in doing a project together. And so I went over, and Marcy, the exec director, she just said, wow. And from that wow, it's like everything fell in place right. And the next step was, how are we going to find our participants? Beginning back in May and early June, we started going into the groups and working with the women. The first step was for them to also get used to the creative activities we were doing. And it was interesting. When we did some activities, we first found that they were often a little bit silly and laughing and a little bit embarrassed. But the more we came in and the more we did it, the laughter turned to joy.
To know what these women were like when they walked in the door. Some of them physically looking horrific from being beaten. Some of them very scared. Some of them afraid to really talk, bent over like this.
Just because the source of the pain is gone after a woman has left or a victim has left the violent, abusive relationship, it doesn't mean that she's free. And so the healing process has just begun.
And creative arts need to come in at the right time, where the talk story and being caught up in one's own story over and over again isn't making progress necessarily for the women. And so having a chance to take it and transform it into something totally different can be an amazing healing experience.
I've been challenging myself to stretch my boundaries and confront my fears. And this was a big jumping into something unfamiliar to grow.
I was a woman was sad, insecure, scared of many things. I was able to find myself. I was able to be more confident, to laugh again, and not to feel judged.
9 women, they wanted to try new things for themselves, but they also wanted to help others.
I want to be the example for one girl in this world, at least one.
Well, dance is a means to express yourself without boundaries. Movement creates this freedom and liberation like nothing else. It takes your mind away from your thoughts and you're just able to be present.
You know, we all hold trauma in our bodies. And to me, to have movement happens allows that trauma to be free. I love the part that I saw about emotions. What does anger look like? What does sadness look like, or happiness?
This program for me let me explore with my body something what I was hiding.
I also love the collaboration. It was a sense of unity or collaboration at the beginning because we would lead those kind of exercises.
One of the next easiest activities to do with non-dancers is mirroring. And that's where everybody finds a partner. One person leads and the other person follows with the goal of being as close as possible in movement to that person so that if somebody walked in the room, they couldn't tell who was leading or following. It's helping somebody learn empathy for others, person, looking closely at them, learning how to both be a follower and a leader. Another thing we did, which was teaching how do you relate to people, is making machines. So one person would go in, and this time, instead of being still, it would be taking and making a sound and a movement that fit it. And then somebody else would come in and add on to it maybe something totally different. It's a wonderful way to begin to teach how do you collaborate.
I think what I loved and enjoyed about this process was the opportunity to delve deeply into these practices with one group of women, and the joy of getting to know them and the trust that was built, the rapport. Honoring our bodies and all that they hold. Remembering that we're okay. There's nothing wrong with us.
Blessing activity was one of my favorite ones, and until this day, still in my heart, you know. It was like a sisterhood, you know, like finally be with other women and be able to bless each other. That energy was just beautiful.
The labyrinth, as we all know, is about pilgrimage. You know, many of these people come from a home of total chaos. Many times women don't have a chance to even be quiet or find a space because they're afraid.
I trained to be a labyrinth facilitator through an organization called Veriditas, which was founded by Lauren Artris, who is an Episcopal priest, and she was one of the people that rediscovered the labyrinth kind of out of obscurity. She walked the labyrinth in Chartres Cathedral and was the first one to replicate that pattern at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. In collaboration with fellow board members in a little nonprofit called the Labyrinth Resource Group of Santa Fe, they helped me to create a labyrinth at Upaya Zen Center, where I have been studying and working for several years. So it was really special to have the opportunity to bring the group of women from Esperanza to Upaya to walk the labyrinth there.
El laberinto es un lugar sagrado en donde está, es como un contenedor para poder meditar.
I mean, that's why the labyrinths were built, for those people who couldn't go to Jerusalem to do the pilgrimage. So to have a place where women can walk their journey and be reflective in a different way is really, really important. You go in with an intention, whether that intention is to breathe, to be quiet, to heal, to say yes, to say help.
Let me talk a little bit more of this idea of empowering women, because that's been a theme that's been throughout my life. So it's natural now to be wanting to work with a population that have often been silenced, that have been controlled. And one of the motivating forces was to give them an outstanding experience at the end where they could feel stronger about themselves. I decided what we needed to do was to have an informal performance at the end of our time working together. So there was a sense of closure, at least at that point, for the women, and a sense of accomplishment. So where were we going to perform? And also, what would be the setting for the filming to be done? And that's where the CCA just kind of fell in our lap. And then when I met with the curator, she was like, wow, I've really wanted to do something with Esperanza. We want to bring other members of the community into our facility, so this is great.
CCA stands for the Center for Contemporary Art. Being a center for the arts means that we're dedicated to supporting and presenting contemporary art and artists throughout the region.
So suddenly we had these two amazing sculptures that provided a fabulous set for what we were doing.
Una mano en el vientre y otra en el corazón. Abrimos nuestros brazos. Comenzamos a caminar.
One of the poems that we used and that became a big motivation in our project was about opening a door and finding a new self.
La puerta está abierta. Pasando a través de la puerta, abierta, de infinitas posibilidades, un principio, un yo sorprendente.
The door is open. Stepping through the open door of infinite possibilities, a beginning, an amazing me.
Performance for me was really good experience because I never performed before, even when I was a child. So for me it was really emotional. I feel so happy when I saw people there watching us.
It was the most challenging part for me, being in front of other people. And again, accepting and coming out in public and say, yes, it's me, and I'm here, and I was abused, and I'm learning this new. So that was probably the most challenging, but also the most rewarding.
But to see the women on that stage and on that platform really claiming their power, claiming and honoring their bodies, no matter what shape it was, and to see them with their head held up high and saying, I'm doing it, I did it, I'm walking, I'm standing up straight, no one's going to hurt me anymore.